editing stuff is now like paid. Like,
Dude, I know. Also, like,
do anything
I
for
don't know if you've been
people.
on Visco lately, but C1 filter, you now have to pay.
I don't know the names of them, but
Like, it was a standard one before.
why do you have to pay for it now? How did they pick?
And also, if you're like adjusting the brightness or a bunch of random shit now. Like, I went on to fucking edit a picture of a tree. And it was like, sorry, if you want to fucking edit this shadow of this tree, you're gonna have to pay $8 a month for the Visco subscription. I was like, what the fuck that? No, I'm not.
Wait, that's crazy.
I know. It looks like I'm editing all of my photos on the presets that are on Instagram. So let me just revert back to my 8th grade self because that's where we're at financially. I'm not trying to pay $8 a month
I'm
for that.
not paying to edit my photos anymore.
No, we're not doing that. But yeah, so welcome to AA. So I want to welcome on an absolute girl boss and a woman in business, the Queen of New York City, and my sister from Gamma Phi Beta at Miami University, Stephanie Hamilton.
Woo, happy to be here. I washed my hair for you.
Aww.
Speaking of New York apartments, actually this morning, my drain in my shower stopped working. And so I was like, I don't know, maybe it's just me or maybe it's a general thing, but I cannot stand the tub having more than the normal amount of water it should have in it while during a shower. And so I did my whole like hair wash routine so fast. And I think I do like still have conditioner in it because I'm looking at it like it looks like I didn't dry my hair. And I think that's like residue. If you're looking to move to New York, that's my advertisement.
And that's it. That's the whole thing. It's actually on a billboard. No, but honestly, like when I came to visit you and not came to visit, but when I was in town and saw you and Alice, it seemed like you both were having a great time, and New York City is the place to be.
I think for her too, but I know at least this was a long time coming, showing up to the city, like living in the city when I was younger. This was where I wanted to move. Like we went Miami of Ohio, way out in the Midwest, went there, and like I never had another intention other than to come back to the East Coast and like specifically New York. I think like no matter what I did, this was where I was going to end up. And I think like just that is exciting, just being here. No, it's been great. I think I'm 7 months into my life.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Full-blown adult. Yeah, it's really insane. When I hit like the 6 months at work, I was like, wow, how did we get here?
Dude, I'm coming up on a year and it does not feel like it one bit.
No.
We literally graduated like in a few days a year ago.
Yeah. Well, that's what aged me or like made me feel old is I saw girls at school who were posting their grad photos or I don't know, doing all the stuff we did in the last week of school. And I was just thinking it's impossible that they're at that
experiencing
point
that.
To me, that felt like last month.
I know, it's so weird and it sounds so stupid to say, but as an adult, time goes by scary fast. Like you wish your entire week away because you're like, okay, work sucks. Like I'm here 9 to 5. And then after that, okay, I literally have like 4 hours to do something with my day, minus the hour that I'm going to cook something. And then minus another hour that I'm going to eat that. And then I'm going to shower and work. The way that everything works out, you literally have like 3 hours of hobby and free time.
Yeah.
What do you do after you're done with work?
I'm in a funny stage where I have 2 tasks every day, and one's to work and the other's to study. I'm doing my CPA, but I took that yesterday. So now I'm like excited to have a couple days between now and score release. Where I'm just like living my normal life. And I finished work today. I was like, what do I do? I'm gonna wait for the drain guy and then I'm gonna make dinner and I'm going on a podcast tonight and I don't know, maybe I'll paint my nails. Like I'm like, what the hell?
See. Wait, that's no joke though. Like the CPA exam is intense.
Yeah, it's a lot. I was trying to describe it to someone, and I was like, with each exam, like even though like I took it yesterday, right? I all I have to do is wait for that score and then to go on to the next one. But it's just this feeling of like there's constantly something else to do. Even if you don't like you got enough studying done that day, you got through the chapter you needed to do, you're done work. I feel like I'm constantly like, okay, I'll have fun, or like I'll like be free once I'm done all 4 sections. And I know for a fact, knowing me and seeing how bored I was just today, I'm gonna be like, oh, I should study for something else.
Yeah. But
And then I'll put myself through the same thing.
I think though, like you're just gonna find something else that you're gonna replace with that routine. Like you're gonna find a workout class, you're gonna do something else. There is gonna be something else, and God forbid it's studying, because holy shit, I literally
it's so boring.
I could not imagine sitting down at a desk, looking at a book, reading it, trying to absorb notes.
Yeah.
I don't think I can do that ever again. Like ever again.
I don't understand how people drop like at post grad and then pick back up studying. I think that's really hard. I think you really have to want to do it. Like the only thing that like doesn't, well, 2 things. One is that like I want to do it in the end. I don't want to do what I'm doing right now, but I want the end goal. So like that's what keeps you opening the book every day. And then 2, like just coming out of post grad, already having studied all that time, like and just continue study. You're just used to it.
You don't know what it's like to not.
Yeah.
Which I completely get that. It doesn't make it any easier or like make it any less strugglesome, because studying honestly was the hardest thing for me. I just could not sit down and ever focus on anything.
It's so bad. The hardest part is like you work at you work at your desk and then you're like, okay, time to study at the exact same like desk and chair
that you work at.
One thing that's been good is it gets me out like finding places to study. So like coffee shops, libraries, the big New York Public Library in Midtown, which is like I can't like give you a movie that it's in, but it's
I love that you like that's where you automatically go like it's probably in some movie or TV show.
It is. Like an episode of Gossip Girl had to have occurred like in front of the library, but it's got like the big rose room and it's so quiet, so peaceful. There's a plus to it. I'm finding things to do like that, places I wouldn't have normally gone and ventured to.
So would you say that the one benefit that you've gotten from studying for the CPA exam is just going out and going to coffee shops and going to the library? Like, I haven't been to the Boston Library. I would love to. I don't really have an excuse to go there though.
I guess like it's not exactly social, like it's pretty independent, but like something I always feel like I'm missing is like, okay, Saturday hits and everyone does the things that you don't really have time to do on the weekdays. And so like a way I feel like I'm actually like seeing my city is by doing that.
I definitely want to go around Boston and see it more, but it's also all of my friends have lived here for some time and they're like, okay, Sarah, we're not walking through the Boston Garden with you.
You have to do things like that.
But it's like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And what am I going to do? Like, I have to do it by myself. Like, that's kind of what I accepted. And that's, even though I'm in a city full of people, there's going to be things that I just have to do on my own. And so that's what I'm going to have to do on my own is walk through the Boston Garden, go to the Boston Library. Like, these are the things that are just on my to-do list that nobody else is like, yeah, I would love to do that with you.
I feel like you could definitely find someone that wants to do those things. And if anything, you can do like walking tours, like audio tours. I feel like there's good ones out there.
With the amount of historical sites in Boston, I would not be surprised if someone like made a podcast and was like, okay, start at this thing.
God, that'd be fun.
I applied actually to be, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's called a duck tour. But it's one of those.
We used to do duck tours all the time.
I applied to be one of the people that like hosts the duck tour because they were hiring for it. And I was like, that would kind of be silly and goofy if I did that. I applied for it and they're like, what sort of accents do you do? Or what's your alter ego? And I was like, trust me, y'all, you don't need an alter ego. I am enough for this role.
They just got to meet you.
And I was like, didn't hear anything back. And then all my friends were like, that's kind of just reserved for middle-aged men to do. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I am not their target.
I always had fun on those, but I never felt safe on them.
Why?
Because it's not meant to be a car. It's not meant to be a boat. It's like part of both. And it's like, okay, is it gonna sink or
Well, which is it? Which is it?
Is it gonna sink or is it gonna stop driving today? Either or. I feel like we had a ton of those quackers in my house growing up. Like the beak.
Yeah, but I was like, honestly, like any extra cash to like rake it in and make a little money.
Yeah. Any like little fun job. Like I know people who babysit here. I signed up for WAG. I haven't done any WAG walks yet.
Don't you have to do a background check for that?
Yeah, I did.
Oh.
I guess I'm fine. Because I haven't heard back. Yeah, you do have to do a background check for that. And it was $30. And so I haven't made that back yet because I haven't.
That's a tough financial loss, honestly. $30 down the drain. How will you recover?
I have lost money trying to get a second job. It seems fun. It's just like I think you have to do, like they do on-demand walks where it's like, you can just say, hey, I'm available. And it's never at a time where I'm like, okay.
Available.
And you need like time to walk to the person and like actually walk the dog.
You need to actually do what they want me to do and what they're paying me to do. Yeah, no, I get that. My roommate tried WAG and she ultimately was just like, I don't feel comfortable going into other people's houses and getting their dogs. And I was like, that's fair.
It's kind of a weird thing. I didn't realize that for some of the situations, they like wouldn't be home.
Most of the situations, they're not home, which is, I feel like normal in the city. People are just, if they're not there to walk their dog, they need someone to walk it. And if they are there, why wouldn't they walk their dog? You know, intuitively, that's what makes sense in my brain. But there's a lot of things that just occur in life that don't make sense. And that don't follow any sort of logic.
Yeah, I mean, now that I think about it, it makes sense that they wouldn't be there. Maybe I'll reconsider.
But then you could see like a lot of cool apartments that way, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. I just want the dogs. I'm like,
that's very true.
I want a little dog to walk around and I don't want to take care of it after.
Just have my like hour with it, my little 40-minute walk with it.
In an apartment.
I could not imagine. In your apartment building, do you have like neighbors above and below you? Like, do you have any noise issues with them? No. Barking dogs or anything?
We actually have a very quiet apartment. Background of my apartment, I live in this area of New York called Stuytown.
Okay.
Which is like...
That's a cute name.
Yeah. I think it's based off like the name Stuyvesant, which has like is like the name of a couple of places around the city. Like it's not specific. I think he was a big, I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong
figure.
He was wealthy and had all this shit named after him.
Yeah, he was an important figure in New York. That's all.
Yeah, let's stick with that. This place is like, I don't want to, I guess you can call it a community. Basically, it's so like 6 blocks and 3 or 4 avenues across, and it's basically like a little square on the east side, and it's a whole group of apartment buildings that look the exact same. It's priced like fairly similarly to the rest of the East Village, which is the area it's near. But some of like the nice things about it is like we have public safety, which is like really key.
What does that mean?
Like security guards that basically are like on the perimeter. Like no one's telling you like stop, you can't go in, or like you need a card to get in and out of like the perimeter of the area, but they like are 24/7 and they're just kind of around and there, and the area is very quiet. We don't have a lot of issues. We have like gyms that like you still have to pay for, but they're only for residents. There's a ton of families and like older people in the community. So there's a kids center. They put on a lot of events. So like we have pickleball courts. And so like there's pickleball lessons and games in a league. It makes the city feel a little smaller, and it also makes living here, I would say, like a little more manageable. Things like getting your drain fixed are super easy. And you're not dealing with this management company who has no time for you and owns like 70 buildings across the city. And we did not think we were going to live here in the first place. Didn't really know about it. And then,
how did you find it then, if you didn't like even think to live there in the first place?
Yeah, our broker brought us to an apartment. Backtracking on the process, we did use a broker, and that was because Alice had used this lady and it went well for her, and she moved a couple months before me, and she had other friends who had also used this girl, and we were coming in kind of blind. Like we knew the New York real estate market was hard to find a rent. It's a lot of effort to find an apartment, basically. Right. You literally have to beat someone hand over hand to like get an apartment. And so there's no free brokers who basically find apartments for you, and you don't have to pay them anything. And she kind of took us around. We didn't see anything we like absolutely loved, and she took us to Stuytown, and we were like, okay, this is it. It's great. Like it's technically a flex apartment. I don't know if you guys have those in Boston where they like pop up a flex wall and they basically
No.
turn a 1 bedroom into a 2. So
No.
like this wall right here for me with my pictures on it, it's one of the more sturdy flex walls in New York. It's not in the original building plan. So like I'm living in like what used to be the living room. And a lot of people do it because it cuts rent. So
Yeah.
you can take a studio and turn it into like a 2 bedroom and split it, which is what a lot of people are doing right now because it's really expensive.
Yeah, I did not realize that that was even a thing. I mean, I had classrooms in high school that like they had a flex wall and it
Oh
was like
yeah.
separating the two walls between like the two classrooms so that you could turn one classroom into two. But
Yeah.
never have I heard that being a thing for an apartment. That's
It's
crazy.
really common here. So it's basically like a thick piece of drywall. Mine, I would, well, so the difference with some other ones is like you might walk into a 1 bedroom apartment and see a huge living room, like we're gonna flex this, and then they'll put up the drywall that they would remove if like someone else moved in and wanted it as a 1 bedroom. I think this apartment is always this flex style. I think they call it like a junior. So this wall has been up for years and it's pretty solid.
They would literally have to do like a demolition team in there to get rid of it. It's
Yeah,
not just
I don't think they would sell like an apartment like this as a 2 bedroom across the city. They would just like pop up the walls and tear them down.
wow. So with your broker, you went to visit like a bunch of different places, or you kind of brought the listings to the broker and you're like, okay, this is what we want.
A little bit of both, where we said like these are the things, these are our non-negotiables, these are our nice to haves, that kind of list. And then the market moves so fast that like your options are whatever is available within those 4 or 5 days. She pulled together a listing of apartments for us to go see. I will say, anyone who is listening to this is looking for an apartment in New York, like I think you should just go at it yourself. Unless you have like the most fantastic broker, someone you know really well, who's not like, if you feel really confident they have your best interest, go for it. But we showed up on apartment search day and she had all apartments at the top of our budget.
Oh,
Like
so it was
maybe
more for her
100.
best interest?
I don't, to this day, don't know if she did that intentionally. We gave her our range and maybe we didn't make it clear enough. Thought it was just like what everyone knew was that like money was first. Everything we like listed as things we would like to have, we could chip away at that to get the price we wanted. Like, and she brought us around to these apartments and we were like, hello, we can't afford that. But I think what she did is she showed us all of these and we're like, some under our budget being like, ew, look how gross, over, look how great, and then drop us in to Stuytown. Obviously worked out for us. Like this is a perfect first apartment, but I don't like that. I feel like I got played. And that's like only problem with it, because otherwise it really is great. But I would recommend, like most of my friends just did it alone.
And so I know for me, I did it technically alone. Like my roommates found an apartment on Facebook and we all messaged our broker. And then we had to like pay the broker's fee, even though the broker did nothing for us. Did your friends that did it on their own, did they also have to pay a broker's fee? Like what was that situation like?
A lot of apartments are no fee apartments, especially last year because of COVID. I think they actually put a stop on broker's fees. I don't know how many of them actually ended up paying a broker's fee, but for them, it was basically whoever was closest to the city or in the city went into the city, took videos of the apartment, FaceTime everyone as they went through, and like, and then you just look at each other and you're like, do we say yes? Because if we leave, we lose it. If we stay,
it's that fast.
Yeah.
So you need to decide in that moment, at that period of time, you have to sign on that apartment.
Yeah, for the most part, especially recently, it's too fast.
So when you were signing for your apartment, you literally toured it and you're like, okay, this is in my price range. This has enough of the amenities that I'm looking for. We're signing right now.
Yeah, we signed that day. Stuytown is a little different. So like, because it is like a community, they have like a leasing center, and you go, and what you actually do when you tour Stuytown is you tour a model. So they have like a setup of like whatever style, ours being the junior, you like. And then they say, okay, you like this style. Here are like 6 in Stuytown that are within your price range and are in the style you want, and you can actually go and just like look at them and pick which one you want. And we ended up picking ours because it had the best lighting out of any the ones we toured. So like they all look exactly the same, but this one had good natural lighting, and that's what we went off of. We were like, it looks clean and the lighting's good, so check.
So what were some other amenities that you were looking for when you had an apartment? Like, do you have in-unit laundry? Do you have a parking spot? Like those sort of things?
No. So no one has a car here. So
Yeah, I didn't think
that was
so.
off the table as like any sort of need. I think like kind of a just like cleanliness. Like if we walked in and we were like, okay, this feels like some of the apartments we walked into were like disgusting. And yeah, that came down to like the person who was currently owning it, but like
Mm-hmm.
we were like, no. And then rooms big enough, we both work from home. So like some like big enough to have space to like feel like you didn't work in your bed, basically.
Right.
Um, and then just like decent kitchen. We have in-building laundry, which is still pretty good. So it's in our basement. We have an elevator, which is big.
An elevator. Is that like unique in New York? Like,
It's hard to find. Not hard to
really?
find, but like you gotta pay the price for an elevator. So like I think
Wow.
all of my friends live in a walk up.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I live in a walk-up.
Yeah.
And so normally, because I know a lot of people move to West Village after they graduate college. Is that right?
Yeah, kind of. So like East Village is like hardcore post grad. And
Love.
then as you get a little older and you get a little more money, you migrate over to the West Village.
Mm.
Like if I wanted to look for an apartment in West Village right now in my price range, Street Easy would show up as 0.
Wait, what is Street Easy? Is that like some sort of
It's an app. It's like where most of New York finds their apartments.
Street
I guess
Easy?
it's New York specific.
What might be in Boston? I don't know. I literally found my apartment on Facebook.
Yeah, wait, let me see if I can pull it up. So Street Easy, you basically can like filter by borough and then like area within the borough you're looking in. It's just an app it's for New York, rent, buy, and sell, and that's where like all apartments basically get posted for the most part. That's how everyone I know kind of found their listing.
Oh, really? Like the
Yeah.
ones that people didn't use brokers?
We would send our broker Street Easy listings.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
wonder if Boston does have anything. And does the Street Easy listing like have reviews of what the current renters or owners say about the apartment?
No personal like little details. It's definitely all posted by like management companies and
Okay.
landlords. It was pretty user friendly, and they have a lot of good like you can put in where you work and it'll tell you like how would you get to work if you lived here.
Oh.
All other properties in this building, like
Hmm.
things that don't matter to us, like school districts and stuff like that. But like
Stuff that
there's a lot
simply
on there.
doesn't apply to me.
It's a really good app. I think I'm assuming it just came out of like so many people constantly looking for apartments here, and they were like, New York needs this.
I would imagine. I know that you said no one really has a car and the app tells you how to get to work. So
Yeah,
public transport is obviously huge. I mean,
yeah.
I would imagine Ubers are expensive. So how do you typically get from like place to place?
Subway and walking. One
Okay.
thing, I think you'll agree with this, but I was talking to Haley Izzo the other day. It was like, it's horrible that we used to Uber in Oxford. She's like, it's terrible. And I was like, yeah, I went to drinks last night and we're like 40-minute walk and we're walking home. Like if the sun's out or it's not pouring rain, you're just using
You bet your bottom dollar I'm getting my steps in.
Yeah, that's that too. It's like, well, might as well record it as a walk.
Yep. It's that hot girl walk girl. You got to
Yeah,
do it. You got to do it.
it's fun though too. Like I like walking around, but it's between walking, subway, really late at night, Ubers and Lyfts. That's the gist on public transportation. The news says maybe not as like as an extreme as it like looks to everyone else, but public transport has gotten worse. Are people using the subway? The level has gotten to what it was pre-pandemic.
Hmm.
Definitely more people just commuting in general, and like going around. It's been a little freaky.
Say you were going to the subway by yourself right now. What is your normal behavior when you do that?
If I'm out, I'm typically like always calling someone. Like I like to be on the phone while I'm like traveling to from. You go down the subway and like back up against like a wall or the nearest pole, and you'll see like everyone else is doing the same thing. Like everyone's kind of got their eyes, okay, like who's around me, what's around me. Like if you get on the train and like there's a precarious situation going on, everyone's moving cars. Yeah, just kind of like way more aware of your surroundings, I guess, is the general thing. When I come home from work, I fill my hydro flask up and I carry it.
Good. Get that heavy weapon out.
It's things like that, like you don't want to think about. And honestly, there's times when it's come down to it where I'm like, I'm so tired. Like I shouldn't go and take the subway right now, which is more like after going out on the weekends or like a late work event. But yeah, that and some pepper spray.
Do you walk around with pepper spray all the time?
Well, not like all the time, but if I remember it, yeah, I feel like most people are the same.
Oh my gosh. That's the weird thing about Boston. It's eerily safe. When you go and take public transportation, people are still on their phones. You're not really engaged in the environment. I don't think it's anything like what you're explaining in New York. Like it seems like everyone's very cognizant about what's going on. They're very aware of their surroundings. Whereas I'm still like walking around Boston. And I don't know if this is me just being an idiot and being very ignorant to my surroundings, but I'm walking around with headphones on, minding my own business, not having a care in the world.
No, and I do think like with me saying all of that, like precautions people have been taking, and including myself, I still like plug my headphones in and like head out. Like I constantly have my headphones in when I'm walking around traveling to from. It's a tough topic because you do all these things or you take all these precautions, you can really only do like so much to protect yourself in like, a certain situation. And so I think people are maybe the people who aren't feeling like going out aren't going out because of those reasons. You just kind of do what you can and you stay aware.
Exactly. I mean, I don't think when I was even in New York City, I was even thinking twice about walking the streets alone. Like I was just doing it. Again, I kind of have this blissfully unaware, ignorant mentality where I just walk through life and I think that I'm invincible and that nothing bad could ever possibly happen to little old me.
I think a lot of us have that complex because you're like, I mean, for the most part, when you're walking around New York, or any city, you're just feeling like you're amongst the crowd. Like there's not many times where I'm walking around like, oh my God, I'm
alone and vulnerable.
Or like, it's one of those things where it's like, well, I can't hide from it. You can do the best you can. I mean, the next best thing to getting away from it is moving. Not gonna do
no one wants to do that. Yeah. Moving is a pain. And I don't know about you, but I ordered all of my furniture to my apartment and I built it in my apartment. Is that what you did?
My roommate and I are from like similar or close areas at home. So we split a moving truck.
Oh, that's so nice.
It was nice. Honestly, the movers made it so easy. But I did like a similar thing where I ordered everything because I was at my parents' house. And so I ordered most of my stuff there, like built what I could before like transferring it.
Yep.
And then brought it all here.
Luckily had an elevator.
Honestly, I think my movers were like so happy about it. I can't, like, one of my friends lives in a 6th floor walk up.
That's what you call a walk up?
Yeah. What'd you think when I said walk up?
When I think of a walk up, I literally think of a townhouse.
Oh, no, I'm talking like the apartment building is stairs only.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No. Wow. No,
that's most of the older apartments here.
That is not what I call a walk up. I call a walk up a townhouse. Like those are interchangeable to me. Wow.
Yeah.
No. Nope. Okay. Anyways, continue.
Yeah. So I was just saying, I can't imagine like moving furniture into that.
No, I walked up. So I'm in a 3-story townhouse. I walked up one flight of stairs. I was like, okay, that's good. I'm good with never doing that ever again.
It's a lot when you're moving stuff.
Oh my God. So you got movers, and then how long did that whole process take of like moving in and then getting all of your stuff for your apartment? So how's your apartment set up? So I know it's a 2-bedroom. Explain to me. So you walk in the front doors of your apartment building, your building, not the individual apartment itself. Building. So what do you see when you walk in?
We have 2 entrances. We have like a front and a back. The most common one is like the back one, I guess. Mail room, door. Well, we swipe a key card to get in, which is another nice perk of living here, but we have laundry room, mail downstairs, get in the elevator, come upstairs. The funniest thing about Stuytown is every building looks the same and the interior of every building is the exact same. So I've had friends go into 6 and ring my apartment building number door, have stood at the door of the exact same apartment number in another building, like, hey, I'm here. I'm like, open my door. No, you're not.
The thing is, no, you're not.
Wrong door. But that's like a funny thing about it. But yeah, you walk in, we have a living room, no windows in there because my room is like the cutoff of the living room, and
okay,
the window ends up in here. We have like a skinnier living room, a like little kitchen off to the side. It's like a little nook kitchen basically. So it's like got everything you need.
Do you have a kitchen table in there?
Oh no. It's literally like a carve out. We do have like a table to eat at that's like against the wall in our living room. One couch, one TV. Then it's my room. Then you walk back. So I don't have closets in my room, so I use a hall closet.
Oh wow.
And then bathroom in my roommate's room.
Would you say that your apartment has a lot of space? I don't like talking square footage, even though I'm an engineer. My brain
know what you meant when you said.
Yeah, I don't know what 600 square feet looks like. I have no
idea how many square feet I'm in, but compared to the people I know whose apartments I've been in, we have more space. Like when my friends are like, oh, like we should watch like a movie, like this is where they're gonna come because I have like this space for the seating. Most of my friends' apartments, you walk in and the shared area is like a galley kitchen, so just like against the wall, a couch and a table somehow like configured to the space.
Wow.
And like a TV somewhere. I think the point of living in New York is like you're not supposed to spend time in your apartment.
Yeah, it's more about the experiences out of the apartment than in it. But that's kind of hard being that the new world is all about remote work.
It is. That's what's like been nice actually having space, and like clearly everyone makes it work. Like I would consider like downsizing. Like I love this apartment and I like it, but like I guess the goal in the next year would be to like be spending more time like doing things rather than so much time in the apartment. I don't think I'm going back in office, but I hope people are moving around a little more. But yeah, I think people just make it work. Like there's enough things to like that having a small apartment doesn't
bother them.
Yeah, so like make or break it.
Yeah. And so your apartment that you're currently living in, to go back to the conversation about like what your budget was and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Ultimately, this fell into your price range, but I know New York City is absolutely egregious in pricing and that sort of thing. So did you follow the typical 30% rule, or how did you kind of budget for your apartment?
I think people fall more between like the 40 to 50%.
Really?
If I'm being honest. Yeah. Well, especially right now, I think it feels exaggerated because a ton of people had COVID deals in the last like 18 months.
Right.
So when people's rent are going up, like one of my friends, she had a 3-bedroom that was like a good size, went from $3,600 to $4,800 in the monthly rent. And that's like insane. COVID deal to like the current above average. Like other people have had like minimal increases to their monthly rent, like with their renewal, like $150 a month. But like that's some of like the increases people are seeing.
That's crazy. So are those people that are seeing that big of an increase, are they just eating that cost, or are they looking to find other places?
They're staying.
Wow.
The cost of finding another apartment, how hard it is to find another apartment right now, like because you're like, okay, well, I have everything I need right now. Like, do I take the cost or do I move? Likely end up paying more for like what I have. They just ended up being like at least another year.
That's kind of how my roommates and I were. So our lease is up in June and we had one of our roommates unexpectedly move out. We were kind of thinking, okay, well, should we move somewhere else that might be like a little bit less expensive? I feel like we might be overpaying. And then ultimately we decided it would be way more expensive to pay first month's rent, last month's rent, broker's fee on a new apartment, plus trying to find a new apartment and then touring it and all of that stuff. It is just so incredibly difficult to move.
Yeah, it's so much effort, time and effort. It's crazy. And money. It's not exactly an enticing thing to do unless you really
Wow. Yeah.
or you have a good budget where you can like go and get what you really want. If that's, I have until October. I don't know what we're gonna do.
So what is the normal process in New York? I know in Boston it's typically 90 days before your lease ends. You're supposed to give is there something like that there? Or is it kind of like, hey, this is what we're planning on doing?
There is, but it's depends on your management company.
Right.
Because I've heard like different things for different people. But yeah, they do have that. So it's like, we'll tell you X date. You have to tell us by this date. That's really vague, but I don't really know.
Obviously, it's going to change from like building to building, person to person, like probably borough to borough, but who knows? But yeah, so do you spend, I know for me, I spend a lot of time in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Do you go out of your neighborhood frequently? Like, what is the deal there? Like, do you spend a lot of time in Stuytown or?
I think one difference between like Boston and New York is that like the lines between the neighborhoods, like it's very blurred. Stuytown itself isn't exactly a neighborhood. It's just like a place to live. Like we're located in like the East Village.
Okay.
You take one step off west of Stuytown, you're in Gramercy. You take one step south, you're in East Village. Like I would say you probably spend the most time like in the ones more local to you, or where your friends are at, but no, nothing specific. Like I work up in Midtown. I have friends all over. Not really spending time in one place a lot more than another.
That's actually so interesting to me because I literally just spend every waking moment in Southie. And there are weekends or weeks that I don't leave my neighborhood. I commute to work and I come back and I'm in Southie. I stay in South. I don't leave.
Yeah, that's funny because I guess like when you pick somewhere to live, you like really have to commit to the neighborhood. Like you're not like, oh, well, I'm always gonna be over here anyway. You live, work, and play in the same area.
Exactly. So you said you're remote. Are you ever gonna be in office? Are you full-time remote always?
We're in like what's called a flexible working arrangement where if I work on a client that wants people at the client site, I go to the client site. I work with people nationally. So like I'm working on a team right now with people from across the country. So like it's never gonna be like, hey, the team's in the office today. Like it's everywhere unless they flew us all to the same office to work together, which is nice. Yeah. So I'm in this flexible arrangement. Like I'm going to the office tomorrow to like sit with friends and get like work drinks after work, that kind of thing. But I have no commitment to be anywhere. I have to be in the US, Puerto Rico.
Okay. Very vague.
I like
and then have you met a lot of friends from work? Is that how you met the majority of the people, or how have you been meeting people?
My friends mostly just come from like my different parts of life. So I grew up in Philly, so I had a good amount of friends from high school that moved up here. My roommate is like a longtime childhood friend. Couple people from college, mutual friends, I would say. Like I think people are right, and I don't know if you feel the same way, where it's like a year to 18 months, like actually feel like I have a foundation of friends.
I completely agree with that.
Like I have people I know, and I have people I love to hang out with. It's gonna be different from college, and like when you're post grad, you're like, okay, like where's my group? Where's my like house of people that I show up back to every day kind of thing? It's not adulthood.
No, it's not. And that was my biggest difficulty when moving to the city. I was like, there must be hundreds of other people moving to the city that are looking to make friends. But for whatever reason, I could not find those people.
And they're out there because like we're talking about it. We have the same issue. Like you can't tell me, I can't imagine that like not every other like post grad girl is out there being like, this is it. Like everyone's always looking to like meet more people and do new things. I think you did this joining activities. So I joined the street hockey league.
Oh, amazing. Love that.
I played one game I'm like obsessed with because I'm like, oh my God, I'm like showing up and I'm meeting new people and like we have beers after and we hang out. And I'm like, I think I'm like thrilled to have like a little community.
I love that. Wait, so how did you find this street hockey team?
Through my director at work. Yeah, we were talking about field hockey and she was like, oh my God, I play in a street hockey league. And I was like, sign me up. I want to play. I was dying to get back into like a rec sport. I've only played one game. We have another game this weekend, but I've loved it. I think it's the idea of like finally being in, I don't know, I've operated in like same circles for a while where I'm like, oh my God, just like a ton of new people and somewhere to go every Sunday.
I had the same discussion with Kenzie, and ultimately everyone ends up making friends in the same way. Like when I talked to Alex, he made friends from a volleyball league, and
Yeah.
Kenzie made friends from a pickleball league, and I've made my best friends from a kickball league. And it seems like that's been the unifier for everybody recently, is
Yeah.
that these sports leagues are what is driving people to be friends. And I by no means would consider myself a kickball person. Like no one is a kickball person.
Okay, I was thinking about this and I'm glad you brought it up because I was like, I had such a good time after the game. And like, I think I was the youngest and it's people up to like 50 or something. I was just like, what? Like, why do people always say, like, join a sports league? Like, you'll find friends there. And I feel like it's because like team sports or people who like want or just enjoy like community in general end up going for activities like that. And like, they're showing up for the same reasons you are. So just
Yeah.
like it's a mutual interest in like being around people. And then it
Yep.
just ends up being a good time because everyone's kind of like got the same ideas on their mind. You know, when you have like a cheesy moment where you're like, God, I'm so grateful. Like someone brought this up to me and like gave me the opportunity to join a street hockey team. I was like, I would have never found it on my own.
I know. And honestly, there's been moments like that because the softball fields, baseball fields, and like soccer fields, volleyball courts, whatever, they're all in South Boston. It's like a 20-minute walk away from my apartment. We would all leave the games together. And then there was a sponsor bar. And so we would all go to the
Oh,
sponsor
that's so
bar
fun.
after. And it was like my team, the team that we just played, the team in the field over from us. We all went to this bar together after. And just the walk there and the walk, everyone's together and everyone's rowdy because they just finished a game. Like it is
Yeah.
so much
It's
fun.
electric.
It really, it's so corny to say, but it really is. And it's such an irreplaceable feeling that you kind of miss from playing sports in high school or being a part of a
Yeah.
team in high school, whether it was a part of an athletic team or an educational team. It was just like that team camaraderie that
Yeah.
everyone kind of looks for and that you don't necessarily get from the workplace.
No.
Yeah, you can be friends with your work friends, but it's different. Yeah.
I 100% agree. I like my only thing was like, oh my God, I wish I found this sooner. It's gonna
Yeah.
be fun.
Is it a short season or is it kind of a longer
It's
season?
so long. So it's like I think it's like pretty well established. Like this like similar people haven't been involved for a while. So it runs the first game was 2 weekends ago. So they skipped like major holidays like Mother's Day, they skip or whatever. But it runs through September and then
Wow.
playoffs start. Yeah.
Wow, that is a long season.
Yeah.
And did you have to pay money or was it free?
Yeah, you do have to pay into it. They haven't decided like the league fees, but the team I joined ended up being like a merger of two teams from last season.
Hmm.
So we had new jerseys. It was like $60 for the jerseys.
What? That's it?
Yeah. And
I
then I guess
paid.
like I think it'll be like 50 for the league.
Oh, okay.
Um
Yeah.
it's really not that bad for like friends.
Well, honestly, and that's a long time to be playing. I play under this umbrella called Volo, which
Oh, we
is
have that here.
yeah, yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of people do. And it's essentially just like for those listening that don't know, it's essentially like this charity fundraiser. So
Okay.
they donate to kids that don't have the money to buy equipment for sports. So
Oh,
your league fees go to that, and you're essentially just paying for your jersey fee and then to have the field.
yeah.
And I think to have like the refs show up to the games.
I'm really looking forward to the next game. And I think you can agree with me. I think we're both pretty competitive people. It's really fun to compete.
Yeah, and it's just a good outlet. Like there are very few places where you compete anymore being an adult.
And
And
people
honest,
are aggressive. Like I got my ankles sliced by like a 6-year-old. I have like these two gashes on my ankle because you just like stepped and went over it. And I was like, all right,
so
6-year-old.
that's how we play here. Okay.
Yeah. I was like noted.
Wow.
I'll learn to body check in the next 4 weeks. I already started physical therapy this week. Dead serious. I wish I was joking. Not just because of the hockey, but the hockey did make me realize I needed to go.
I literally have been so horrible about like finding a doctor for literally anything in Boston.
That's so hard. I haven't
No,
been to the dentist in a while.
that's literally me. So I've moved around so much in my entire life. Like, I don't think I've been to the same dentist consecutively for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Within like the past 2 years, my dad moved again and we were graduating and I was moving to Boston. And so ultimately, I don't think I've seen a dentist in over a year. And I'm kind of just like at this point where I'm like, I think I probably have 10 cavities. I'm scared to go to the dentist because
It does make going scarier the more you wait. Like in general, the same thing with the doctor. It's like, oh, I haven't seen a doctor in a year. Like, are they going to kill me when I show up because I have like issues?
And also at the same time, I am a freckly person and I get a lot of moles. And I
Same
had
girl.
like this mole that showed up on my side. And I was like, oh my God, do I have cancer? And so I scheduled an appointment with a dermatologist. This has been the only doctor I've seen in Boston, and it was covered by insurance. Me thinking in my brain of my experiences as a doctor and me having my dad cover all of my medical expenses my entire life, I was like, oh, it's covered by insurance. It's free. It's just, I just go and insurance is going to cover it. So I go and this woman like checks me out, looks at all of my stuff. She's like, nope, you're good. And I'm like, oh, cool. And she's like, yep, covered by insurance. So we'll just send you the invoice once we're done. I'm like, cool. Can't wait to get that receipt where it says $0 on it.
No, you have a copay.
Yep. Yep. I literally discovered what a copay was in that moment. I literally opened the envelope and I was like, $150 for you to tell me that my body is fine.
Yeah.
Why am I doing that? Why
Do
do
you
I
want to
need
know
to
a
do that?
tip? Maybe your podcast will enjoy this too, but when you go to the dermatologist, if you have something for them to remove, you need to tell them that it's like affecting your daily life. So like I'm with your podcast is gonna love this. I'm a freckly moly person as well. And I was like, oh, like this is kind of like I was like, oh, it's kind of gross. Like I don't really want to look at it anymore. And my mom's like, well, when you go, you need to say that it's like near my head. And she was like, you need to say that like it bleeds every time you brush your hair. And then the insurance covers it because it's not just cosmetic, it's medically necessary.
I'm using that and it's done.
Yeah.
Insurance, if you're listening, I'm
Yeah.
worried. I'm worried about this mole and I'm worried that I'm going to rip it off.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the kind of energy you need to go into the dermatologist with.
No, but seriously, that's the only doctor I went to. And then this is so embarrassing. This is so embarrassing. I was like, I'm going to look for a dentist probably like a month and a half ago. And so I went on it's called Sydney app if you have United Health.
I haven't used that.
And it tells you of all of the healthcare providers within a certain industry.
Yeah, okay. I've used the website to do that.
Yeah. So it's essentially the same thing, but it's just its app version. And so I went on, found a dentist. I scheduled an appointment. I was like, okay, I'm going to take my time off from work. I'm going to go in and I'm going to do this. I went onto the website and I was like, oh my God, they can take me tomorrow? What? That's crazy. And so I was like, okay, done. Like someone must have canceled because that's so crazy to me that they had this open.
Yeah.
And so I take my time off and I go to my dentist and I walk there. I show up with a mask on. And the woman's like, oh, so like, what are you here for? And I was like, well, I'm here for a cleaning. And she's like, looks at me and she's like, you scheduled an emergency appointment and an emergency isn't cleaning. And I was like, I am so sorry to have wasted
not tagged as like emergency on the scheduling thing.
It wasn't apparent to me. And I was like, went back to look at sent me the text message of the confirmation.
Yeah.
There was no indication that this was an emergency.
That's so bizarre.
And I was like, I mean, a 30-minute, normally dentist procedures aren't really scheduled for 30 minutes. Maybe they're just very efficient. I don't know. And so maybe that should have been my red flag that it was a 30-minute thing, but maybe they just get in, get out with the cleaning really fast. And like, that's it. That's all you get. Like they're not checking for cavities. They're just cleaning your teeth. And so
you just gave up after that. You were like, yeah, I'm not going to the dentist.
She was like, yeah, so we're not able to get you in until June. And I think I went in there at the beginning of March and I was like, yeah, cool. Yeah. I have no idea what I'm doing during that period of time.
Yeah. That's the hardest part. They're like, do you want to schedule your follow-up like in 2023? No.
Can't say that I want to do that. Yeah. And then when you do that, it's like, oh, I have this random appointment scheduled around the same time that I decided to have plans for the one time in my life. And now I have to show up or cancel and reschedule for 6 months out again.
Oh, adulthood. It's too good.
It honestly is. But I want to ask you one more final question before I let you go because I don't want to take up too much more of your night. I actually have 2 more questions, so just bear with me. My first one is, what is the most unexpected thing, whether it's positive or negative, about moving to New York City? What took you by most surprise?
This is twofold. People are not as mean as they like say they are, and like I don't think I really like thought that coming in. Oh, backtrack. This is something I tell people when they come and visit and they're like, "Oh my God, you live in New York and it's New York and it's everything." And you're like, "Yeah." But like people forget when you move to New York, you still have to live the same life that everyone else lives. You're just doing it in New York. Like, yeah, you come and you visit and you have a great weekend, but like at the end of the day, like everyone still goes to work in New York. Everyone still has laundry to do when they go home, people to take care of, like things to take care of. And I think that's something that for some reason when people think about New York gets lost on them. Like it's like everything goes out the window and you live a magical Big Apple life. And I definitely didn't think that. Like I felt like I had a realistic idea of what I was going into. But I guess that's unexpected in the way like I wasn't expecting everyone to have that reaction. Like people are like, "Oh, I can live here. How fun." And you brunch and you lounge on the side of the street. Yeah, if you have unlimited disposable income, you can go sit out there and drink.
Or if you just have no income, you can also just sit out there and drink, but you do that full time.
Yeah, you can like I'm gonna drink it out of a brown bag because I had to bring it from home. Yeah, I think that was kind of unexpected in a different sense of like the question you were asking, but I think that was like an interesting realization once everything settled. It was like, oh, the bills still come and work still happens.
It's that time of the month again, is it?
Yeah.
No, time for rent. I just got paid. Yeah. Perfect timing, huh?
Oh, and your second paycheck like comes in on the 31st and out on the 1st.
Yeah, that is the hardest thing to say goodbye to. You're like, it was nice knowing you for 12 hours.
Yeah, it was like, hope you enjoyed your stay.
Thanks for adding to my very ever so slight income interest on my bank account. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I made 32 cents this last week. Coming in and out.
Exactly. Nice. Perfect. Good. Love that. And then I guess my last, it's a two-parter, even though this last one was also a two-parter. What has been your favorite things and least favorite things about living in New York City?
Like my favorite days are like ones where you just like step outside and everyone's buzzing. Like the couple of nice days we've had in like the last month, like when you walk through the city on a good day, like you just feel like everyone's happy. You can feel everyone's happiness just radiating off of them. Spending time in like parks and just sitting with friends, like those super nice like loungy moments just around the city have been some of my favorite days here. That's something I definitely love about it. I think ease of access and just like getting places, getting to people, doing things is super easy. And then on the other side of that, my least favorite thing, rent. I think that's the only big negative. I can get really, I guess on the other end of like my favorite part is like you can get really stuck in your apartment here. I actually made a rule for myself. I'm like, if you're gonna get food, unless you are in some sort of crazy situation where like you're starving and you have absolutely nothing and you want to order, like I can order. I'm like telling myself what I can do.
You're allowed to do this.
Yeah. I can order food in those situations, but like I was ordering food like a lot one week. I was like, it's right outside my door. I need to go walk to it. Like, so you can get really holed up here. You have to like actively work against sitting in your apartment all day. That's like probably one of the tougher things. And I don't know that that's unique to New York, but I think it happens to a lot of people here.
Yeah, I would imagine because everything's just at your fingertips.
Yeah.
You can order anything and have it there in seconds.
That's my New York lifestyle.
Review. That's it.
I do love it though. And this was fun. I'm glad I got to talk about it with you because I feel like people are like, shut up. You live in New York. No one cares.
I love learning about it because it's just interesting to see all the similarities and differences. Because I, for the longest time, was like convinced that the people in Boston were just hard to make friends with. But then I started talking to Alex in LA and Kenzie in Chicago. And even when I talked to you in New York, like everyone was having difficulty making friends.
Yeah.
And I realized that it wasn't just a unique experience to Boston, and it wasn't just a unique experience to me. And so taking comfort in the fact that people are also having the same struggles and the same difficulties as you are ultimately is what led me to make this podcast, so that people can relate to you. Because as much as you feel like this is my own feeling that no one else can relate to, those are actually what stories people are able to resonate most with.
It's just nice to talk to other people. And I think if you're thinking like a post-grad audience or like anyone post-grad, like keep in contact with your friends from college or like friends from wherever. And like, don't be like, yeah, like I'm so happy, when you might be actually miserable. Because one, you're allowed to be miserable. You're totally allowed to hate it. And like hating it doesn't mean the world's gonna end and you have to move home and your life that you thought you wanted can't exist anymore. And maybe that's the case, and maybe that's the best option. But like for the most part, like there's just a lot of hard parts about.
Yeah. And also hating it doesn't mean that you failed.
No.
Like, I feel like that was such a huge thing when I was realizing that I was having a difficult time at work. Like, I thought that I failed, and I was like, I failed Boston. Like, I'm not meant to be here. I'm not meant to work in a startup environment, when that's not the case. And the more people that you talk to, the more you'll realize that you're not the only one that feels this way. And that's not to say take away from anyone's discomfort and feeling in a certain situation, or that their situation is insignificant. No, it just means that you're not the only one having this issue, and there's other people that can probably relate to you and help you navigate through the troubling time that you're having. Moving to New York isn't for everybody. Moving to across the country isn't for everybody, and it's okay to admit that it's not for you.
I have a good quote to end on. That's actually like my new phone background. This guy, Scott Galloway, he's like a tech writer, whatever. He's a very interesting guy, but he talks a lot about how like the key to success is your willingness and ability to endure failure and rejection. And I feel like that's a good lesson in terms of just like life in general, post-grad life specifically. Shit's gonna go downhill constantly. And like the more you can just like figure your way out through it and like use your resources to get through it, like the closer you are to where you want to be. That's the tea.
No, I completely agree. I love that quote as well, because I feel like on Instagram and it is so easy to make living in a new city look amazing and look like, wow, I'm having the time of my life, blah, blah, blah. Like, I was miserable in Boston for my first summer. Like, I knew nobody. And I was like,
terrible.
I literally came home and cried in my bed like twice a week. And I was like, no one talks about this. No. Everyone is just happy moving on from college.
And you know what? Everyone's doing the exact same thing. It's just no one's saying it.
Yep.
Everyone thinks everyone else is living their happy, carefree life.
Nope. Not the case. Not the case.
No. It's a lot.
It is a lot. And being an adult is a lot. And a lot mentally and financially.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. I'm so glad that you were able to come on. Thank you for sharing your time and insight with me. It was great to see your smiling face again.
Yeah, this was fun. We should just FaceTime every week.